By the mid-7th century, Arab Muslims governed a territory stretching from the borders of the Indus River to the Atlantic coast of North Africa. This rapid expansion brought millions of Greek, Persian, and Christian subjects under a single fledgling administration. Governance relied on shura, a system of consultation where the Prophet's closest companions elected leaders. This process kept political authority anchored in Medina, the spiritual heartland of the new faith. As expansion slowed, the system collapsed. The empire tore itself apart in the First Fitna, pitting Caliph Ali in Iraq against Muawiyah in Syria. Centered on the unresolved assassination of Caliph Uthman, the conflict resulted in a grinding military stalemate at Siffin. When Caliph Ali was himself assassinated in 661, the state faced total dissolution. Of the 4 rightly guided caliphs, 3 had now been murdered in office. To end the cycle of violence, Ali's son Hassan reached a settlement. He signed a treaty ceding his authority to Muawiyah, effectively trading his political claim for the preservation of the community. This year of unity saved the empire from collapse, but it marked the end of the consultative model. The era of the Prophet's companions was over. Muawiyah's first act as sole ruler was to leave Arabia behind. He moved the seat of Islamic power to Damascus. He chose the city to utilize the existing Roman and Byzantine administrative legacy. He inherited a region already equipped with a professional bureaucracy and stone-built infrastructure. This relocation distanced the government from the influential families of the Quraysh in Medina. By moving to Syria, Muawiyah effectively silenced the traditional voices that could challenge his executive authority. By anchoring the government in a traditional urban center, the Caliphate adopted the mechanics of a professional, centralized empire. Seeing his predecessors murdered while leading public prayers, Muawiyah abandoned the accessible, informal style of the early caliphs. He created a personal guard and a cordoned-off area within the mosque, called the Maqsura, physically separating the ruler from his subjects. He built centralized government departments, known as diwans, to manage state affairs. These included a specialized chancellery for official documents and a sophisticated postal relay system to monitor the provinces. To run this machine, he bypassed religious purists in favor of loyal Syrian Christian Arabs, whose administrative experience helped stabilize the burgeoning state. He even introduced standardized gold coinage, creating a physical symbol of statehood and economic control that reached every corner of the realm. These institutional upgrades brought peace, but they signaled that pragmatic security and state control now outweighed the egalitarian traditions of the early faith. Muawiyah managed the vast distances of the empire through a decentralized network of regional governors, demanding loyalty and tribute in exchange for local autonomy. He preferred diplomacy to direct combat, often using state wealth to bribe tribal chieftains and pacify potential rivals before they could revolt. This stability allowed him to mobilize resources toward new horizons, building the first Muslim naval fleet and establishing a dominant presence in the Mediterranean. Through the strategic use of wealth and tribal alliances, Muawiyah successfully transformed the office of the caliph into a powerful dynastic kingship. After 20 years of rule, the aging Muawiyah faced the risk that his death would create a power vacuum, potentially plunging the empire back into civil war. To prevent this, he made his most controversial move yet. In 676 CE, he named his own son, Yazid, as his successor. This decision violated the foundational Islamic precedent of merit-based election. It effectively turned the caliphate into a family property, establishing the principle of hereditary rule. The reaction in the Hijaz was immediate. Prominent leaders in Mecca and Medina viewed this as a tyrannical turn toward the dynastic styles of the Byzantines. When Muawiyah died in 680, that resentment erupted. The Muslim world refused to accept the authority he had tried to hand down to his son. The succession ignited the Second Fitna, a conflict that led to the tragic massacre of the Prophet's grandson at Karbala and a permanent fracture in the Islamic community. Muawiyah had succeeded in building a massive, pragmatic empire that survived the death of its founder. But in securing the state, he permanently dismantled the ideals that had defined the early caliphate.